I feel like at least one of them would
Sure.
probably.
Let's do another chat.
Okay, same question, but instead of a forest, you're in a women's bathroom. I mean, a bear wouldn't be in a women's bathroom.
But what if it
That bear is probably
situation.
agitated as hell in the women's bathroom.
Yeah.
Which do you pick?
Make it even worse.
Is the man I have?
You pick that? That's interesting.
I don't know.
But wouldn't that be a
in the
transgender
bathroom?
man?
Like,
Be a man
They
or
were
a
in a
can I
women's
just
bathroom?
leave the
In the bathroom.
bathroom?
The bear or a man in a woman's bathroom.
Am I in the stall already? Like, can I wait for the bear to leave? What is the bear doing there? What is the man
you
doing
can, you
there?
can
Like,
wait in the
it's
stall for
crazy.
either to leave. Like, whatever the particulars are that you want to attribute to the hypothetical, you can. But just hypothetically, you're in a bathroom and a man wanders in, or a fucking black bear wanders in. Which one would you prefer?
I'd prefer man.
Oh, man.
The man. Allie.
Are you answering man or bear?
She did. She answered man.
Yeah, I guess man.
What's the
Begrudging.
difference?
Cheating.
to
You don't
I'm
get
just
your
curious.
answers from someone else.
I'm
No
just
cheating.
curious. I'm just curious the difference why you'd pick a man now versus before. I don't really understand the
know.
question.
You're in an
I
enclosed
think,
space.
like, yeah, in an enclosed
Yeah.
space, it's harder with the bear. Like, the bears definitely. Here's the thing: with bears are more predictable animals than strange men.
What?
And I know that in a enclosed space in a bathroom, like, what is the bear doing there? It's gonna
do you
freak
mean
out
they're-
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What
It's
does
not
that- what
like
does
their
that mean, they're
habitat
predictable?
Yeah.
anymore.
Like, at that point, like, no.
That guy Slingshot
You think you can
donated
predict what a bear's gonna do?
$199. Fun fact, bears, who are vicious meat eaters, spend their time in the woods, searching for their next meal. Men spend their time in the woods to escape from whatever woman is currently on their nerves.
Yeah, but maybe I'm in the woods because I want to escape from the man that's getting on my nerves, and then I don't want to see another man.
Have you
wanna
ever
see a
once
bear.
gone out to the woods by yourself and camped so that you could escape a man?
Have you been to the woods? You do much camping?
Have I been to the woods? I go hiking sometimes. It's not really,
Well,
like,
is
to be
it with a
honest,
man?
it's not really my thing.
Is it with a man when you go hiking?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of figured.
But, like, it's not a strange
You ever
man.
hiked with a bear?
I have seen a bear on a hike.
You've
I
seen a
have, and
bear?
it was
Wait,
really, really
I have
cool.
a question if I
Yeah.
can ask her. So if you're going on a hike with a man that you've known for less than 30 days, how is that different from a random man?
See, but I haven't gone on a hike with a man I've known for less than 30 days.
Here, hold on. I got another scenario here. Let me give you another scenario, and then we'll pull up some more of the chats here. So, okay. If your question is bear over man, what if we just replaced, a lot of you live in a city, right? Do you think you would be safer in a city if we just replaced all men with bears?
No.
But all of you live in probably metro, like either the metro area or the city itself,
How?
surrounded by
city
men
function?
constantly.
I don't
right?
know where I live. There's a lot of wildlife, but not bears.
But when you're not alone with them, like there's like other witnesses, like they're less likely to do certain things.
Well,
Yeah,
I
like,
don't
that's
think
what I
there's
like
many
about being in
attack
a city.
squirrels, right?
Huh?
You don't think
But would
that
you be
we're
more
worried about
safe?
Attack squirrels and attack rabbits?
Would you be
No,
more
not-
safe or
not
less
squirrels and
safe
rabbits.
if we snapped our fingers and all men in your city became bears? Just we replace them with bears. Would you be more safe or less safe? And let's say you're even out somewhere when this happened. Like, let's say you're at the club with your girls and it just switch, all the men become bears.
You're just throwing it back on a bear now.
You think you're safer with the bears or with the men?
Okay, like in a city situation, yeah, with the men.
I don't know
Okay,
if the bears
that
are gonna
one makes me
roofie
think
us.
about- One time I ate bear meat.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
kidding. I was in Canada and I ate bear meat and it smelled so bad.
That's
I can't
cool.
imagine how
You
that
bear
city would
meat?
smell. Yeah,
What is that? You
bear, like
ate
from a
bear.
bear.
Oh, you
Yeah.
ate bear meat.
Yeah, it's nasty. I
What if
don't
we
recommend.
what if we change the setting? Andrew kind of already asked this with the
I
bathroom
think we
thing.
eat this horse. To...
What? Change the setting a little bit.
We beat
A
this
10 by,
bear.
what about a 10 by 10 room?
It's like a bathroom.
That's like the bathroom,
Bathroom.
situation. That's the same question.
Yeah, a little different though.
It's a little different.
A little
'cause
different.
That makes me choose man. But if I was in
And
the
you're
bathroom,
so far away from the mic.
Oh, sorry. So if it's different in the bathroom, because my thing with it being a random guy in the bathroom is why that increases his chance of being a freak.
Yeah.
That's true.
If he's in a
I just don't get like why
bathroom.
with my other one with the city one, if your choice is bear, why choose to live in cities which are occupied by hundreds of thousands or even millions of men. Why not go into the woods or forest with bears if you really genuinely feel like bears are safer than
I don't
men?
leave my house much.
We live in like a society.
Okay, men
I
can
would
break
love to
into your
just
house.
run off into the woods.
I'm very scared of that.
Okay.
I'm terrified of that.
So is it because you don't trust men that you choose the bear for both of you?
I guess.
Yeah, and I think this argument kind of proves it because a lot of men are more focused on like, oh, why don't you trust me? Like, instead of just working on being more trustworthy people.
Okay.
And then like I've seen all the memes of like, oh, this is what a bear would do. Like they're not everyone, but there's people online who are definitely relishing and getting kind of excited and like very into the idea of like women being mauled by bears.
That guy Slingshot donated $199. Look up Timothy Treadwell and tell me again that you would rather trust a bear over a man.
I'll know if the photos are kind of
Yeah.
are gruesome, then we probably can't. We can't
Yeah,
look it up. But
they would be gore.
yeah, or gore. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't
I've
think we can do
seen
that.
photos of people mauled by bears, and I've seen photos of people attacked by men.
Yeah.
Like,
well, in this bathroom scenario, did you guys have definitive answers to that? You prefer the
I
men or the
guess
bear?
because it's like that's not their habitat for a bear. So I think I could picture it going crazier than like in a huge jungle forest, whatever.
yeah, in that scenario, I think Aspen, right? You brought up a good point that a man in the bathroom would be like, the fuck is he doing in the
I
bathroom,
don't
right?
think the question
And
is
at,
based
at
on
that
what
point,
the
it's like,
intentions are. Like you just are
Well, I
randomly
mean,
all
wait a
thrown
second,
in
they
the
go
same
in there
place.
all
but
the
I
time
think that's
nowadays,
kind of
don't
like why you
problem
would
into.
be nervous or why you would not trust like, somebody because you
Would
don't
you
know
would
their
you trust a
intentions.
man wearing a wig to go in the bathroom then?
No.
Is it a man
No.
wearing a wig or are you getting at something else?
Well, I mean, it's the same point, right? They can still have all the plumbing, but they just say me a woman, right? So, I mean, would you trust them to go in the bathroom then?
But I do think that then in that instance, like intention is important. Because I've definitely been
suddenly intention is
in the
important.
bathroom with trans women before, and they have not assaulted me, and it's not been an issue at all.
I don't know,
So
because I
you've
feel
been
like
in
you
the
hear a lot of
bathroom with
stories
men
that come
before
out
and they haven't
about
assaulted you.
stuff
Sorry,
happening
what?
in the locker rooms and
So
stuff.
you've been in the bathroom with men before and they haven't assaulted you. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but I haven't been.
Yeah. So I don't understand.
Well,
how you
in the
draw this
bathroom
parallel
scenario,
there.
I did say that I chose a man.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So what are
okay.
you getting at, Andrew? You listening?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. I don't know. My conclusion on the whole bear thing is, I mean, at least my analysis, you can't really understand, at least for those who pick bear, you can't really understand it rationally or logically.
Because it's not.
I think the bear choice is simply social signaling about how much women don't like men.
Agreed.
Or how they're afraid of men.
Yeah, I
Or
don't think it's
how,
like a dislike.
how they feel unsafe around men. But I mean, how you feel about a situation and the reality
Yeah.
of a situation are completely different.
Well,
it's
I-
just
but
not
that
a
doesn't mean
rational.
that they
again,
It's
like,
not-
I've been in the
it's not a
woods with a
rational
bear.
choice.
It doesn't mean that they hate men. I mean, you can feel afraid of
They
something
might be-
and not hate it.
Well, then they're bigoted.
Well, like I could be afraid of a lion, but it doesn't mean I hate lions.
Well, that's-
Valid.
Yeah.
So just like if you can replace the word hate with like afraid, I guess, and that would be a valid, or that would be.
Well, I didn't use the word hate. I said don't like men.
You said
You said hate.
You said, hey.
No, I don't. I didn't say hate.
Also, in this snenario, I'm picturing like a
Pretty
scary
sure I
like
could
guy
have.
with an
Her point
axe or
still
something.
stands. Her point still
I'm
stands.
pretty sure I
that
said
she can be
don't
afraid
like
of lions
men.
and not
I'm pretty
dislike
sure.
them. So that's.
Did he
Did I
say
say
hate?
hate?
You did.
Did I?
Yes.
Okay, I could have. I'm pretty sure I.
I don't disagree, though.
But
I don't hate men.
I
just
thought
for
I said don't
clarification.
like
yeah,
men,
no, I
but
don't.
maybe
I don't
okay.
hate men.
they feel unsafe around men.
Or just distrust.
But also the bathroom scenario as compared to the forest scenario, I'm picturing two different men in my head. Someone who would be isolated in a forest versus someone who's just in a bathroom, which everyone goes to the restroom every day.
I do think it's fair to say that a lot of women are like distrusting and maybe a little bit afraid of strange men that they don't know.
Okay.
I
mean,
just
they
don't
Yeah,
perhaps.
sure, but I mean, I would be afraid of a strange bear I didn't know, right?
Do you know a lot of bears?
Yeah, but do I need to know a lot of bears to know that I'd be distrustful of a wild animal who was
Well,
a giant
yeah.
bear? Do I need to know them? I don't understand. I
Brian
need
was
to have an
just,
interpersonal relationship with bears to know how fucking dangerous they are.
Brian was just bringing up the whole point of the conversation and why we were having it. Basically, is that a lot of women are afraid of men.
I think it's just like I said, an opportunity to socially signal. A lot of women just have sort of
Yeah, but I don't
biases against
understand
men.
why would they be afraid of men anyway? I mean, most of the domestic violence happens from women to men, not from men to women. In fact, there was a meta-analysis that was done on this, which I can send over. Brian can pull it up if you'd
Men
like.
are
we
3
won't
times
show
more
those.
likely to commit a violent crime than a woman.
No, this is absolutely, well, now hang on. That may be true against other men, but not
in
against
general.
women. When it comes to women, you're looking at domestic violence stats. It's absolutely not true.
If you're
There was
talking about
a meta-analysis done on this. This was done. Here, I'll pull it up for you right
Now,
now.
domestic violence.
Just so that you,
Correct me if I'm wrong,
you guys
but
have it. It's the difference in frequency of violence and reported injury between relationships with reciprocal and non-reciprocal intimate partner dynamics. Inside of this, it was discovered that men are just far less likely to report that they were the victims of domestic violence because it's demasculating. However, women are the ones who assault men far more than men assault women.
Okay,
Do you
that's
think-
domestic violence, but you can still look up. You can look up the statistics if you want, but I know that they're correct. Men
Well,
are
but if it's
3
not
times more
with-
likely to commit a violent crime.
No, they're
than
not.
women.
They're not correct. Against women? No, that's not correct. Domestic
against
violence
women,
accounts for
in
most.
general.
Domestic violence
In
accounts for the
general.
overwhelming amount of violence committed towards women.
I'm not saying
street,
it's against
street
men.
assaults are
Okay.
super rare.
I'm not saying it's against men or women. I mean, it doesn't really matter anyway because either way, the man is still the aggressor, which is the point of the argument. Who he's being aggressive towards isn't the argument, but
No, that's
men-
not the point of the argument. The point of the argument is that women distrust men
Yes.
because they consider men to be physical threats. And what I'm saying to you is that while it may be so that they do, that doesn't mean it's justified that they do, because when we look at the statistics on this, it does not appear that their justification is there. For instance, have you guys been?
Women
Have you
here.
guys been? Have
commits-
any of you
who-
guys
who
here?
commits the
Have any of
majority
you
of-
gals here? Let me finish the question. Calm down. Have any of you gals here have had random men just show up and beat you? Has that ever happened to any of you? Just a random guy just shows up and beats you up? Has
I
that
have
ever
had a
happened?
beating,
Brad
no,
me.
but assaulted, yes.
Yeah.
Not random.
Yeah.
No, that's
Women
not. But
here.
that's my question.
Have you ever
So
been
listen,
assaulted?
this is
No, I
why
know.
it's phrased this way, so
Yes.
that you can understand the question. Has a random guy walked over and beat you up?
No.
No. Has that ever happened? Show of hands if
But
that's happened to
SA,
any women.
yes.
Assaulted, yes. And
Yes.
you can be
That's
afraid
not
of
my.
some.
Listen, this is
No,
not
the
my
answer
question.
is no. Have you seen a woman go up to a random
It's
man
not my
and beat
question.
him?
Answer my question. Don't
No.
ask me one before it's answered.
No.
Show of hands for the women here who've had a random guy just show up and beat them up.
And beat them up specifically?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
other type of assault.
No.
You're not going to accept
No.
any other action?
Okay, hang on. Just before you go into but this other thing happened, just bear with the actual question. Holy shit, don't divert. Don't ask something different. Just answer the question. It's not that hard. So since that's never happened to any of you, you understand that this actually is rare that this happens at all to any women outside of a domestic situation. So that's why we look at the domestic violence stats, because that's going to be the overwhelming amount of these types of abuses. And it seems that the threat of men is wildly overplayed in society towards women.
Is
That's not what
sexual
I'm scared
assault
of.
not a form of
Yeah,
violence?
That's what I'm
like
scared
maybe
of.
they're not beating
Oh
you.
no,
but it's-
if you want to get into essays, then let's talk about the fact that there's so many female teachers who essay their students.
Okay.
Do you want to get into the stats on that?
That's not alone in the woods,
That's
though.
PR Aquatic donated $200. Do you think you have better chances of surviving with a polar bear or a man in the wild?
Man in the wild.
Here's the thing.
Hold on. Answer. Let's do this.
Man in the wild.
Let's do this. Answer the polar bear one.
Man.
Pick the polar bear or man.
Man, I guess.
To survive a man.
Okay.
Well, polar bears are the most
But
aggressive.
that's not what I'm
bear.
scared
Yeah.
of. I'm specifically scared of getting essayed by the man in the forest alone.
So what? Okay, that's a possibility. What are the?
Because I don't really think a bear is capable.
What
of
percentage
doing
of men do you think would do that? Because okay, so you're being in the man versus bear thing. You're being assigned a totally random man. So based on that, you're having to make some assumptions there about the probability of any given random man doing that. What do you think that the frequency is of men doing that?
Well,
50%?
I'm picturing like the fact that he is in the woods alone is
You're
already
overthinking
weird.
it. You're overthinking it. Let's just the motivations of why he's in the woods are relevant.
Like he's not home with his kids. He's not with
It's
his
just,
wife.
you're both randomly spawned.
You're just
Random.
you randomly spawn in the woods.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's less of a chance for sure.
It randomly selects out of the what?
But you get what I'm picturing,
150
right? Like an
million men?
axe murderer type dude.
It could be. What percentage of men
You
are axe
don't know.
murderers?
That's the thing. You have to
You
just.
don't know.
But
Take your chances.
the thing is if we're talking about why men are afraid of women, it's because I can't speak for
Wait, why men are afraid of?
or why women are
I was like, wait,
afraid of
what?
men. Sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
I could almost bet that every woman at this table, or I know like at least 99% of the women I know in my life have been a victim to a man in some form, whether it was sexually or physically. They're kind of the same thing, but in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, whether they're an
Sexual
OF
assault.
worker
Yeah,
or a
but
sex worker
I don't,
or not.
But I don't believe it. So here's the
don't
thing,
believe it.
right? Like, I don't actually
100%
believe that this
of
is
women
so.
have been-
What I think happens
said
instead, and the stats bear this out as well, is that things which women would consider to be SA, men just simply do not. So, for instance, unwarranted touching by women towards men just disregard it, whereas women will often freak out about it. So I'm not so... and by the way, I also have the Cardinal Wilson rule, and here's the Cardinal Wilson rule. If there was no police report, I don't fucking believe you. That's my actual rule. If there was no police report, right, then I think that the chances that it actually happened in a significant
Chances
way
split.
are not true. That's my own personal rule for this.
Well, even if there's
I think
no
there's no
police
arguing with that
report,
logic.
it's not going to get processed. It just sits on in most
Yeah,
states. It just,
been there, done that.
Well, okay, but there's still a report, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that.
So that's the thing is like that's my rule, right? Is that there's so many of these which end up being unfounded. The women won't say the name of the person, and
Well,
this
there's,
is
like,
I think the
psychological
reason that the
warfare
women
going
won't
on.
come forward with the names of these supposed SA assaulters is because then that man would have an opportunity to refute those charges. And so they don't want to do that because it would actually be a false allegation.
It's
so what they do is they say,
traumatizing
no,
to
I had
relive
this
the
happen to me.
experience.
And you ask for details. You say, well, where, when, why, how did that happen?
You don't always
and suddenly,
have proof of
hang
it.
on, let me finish. I'm almost done. And then suddenly the details go right out the window. And they won't name who these people are. They won't tell you that there was a police report. They won't say any of those things. So I struggle myself to believe that a lot of women are telling the truth about these situations.
As a man, you are more likely to be raped yourself than you are to be wrongfully accused of doing so.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Our word is
But
our
you
word.
are more
Woman
likely to
or
be
man?
assaulted yourself than you are to be wrongfully accused of doing so.
I don't know if there's
No,
data on
there's
that.
the
You wanna look it
evidence
up?
for this is extremely scant, in fact. So the thing is that while it is, I think I could even grant this and still destroy the argument. So even if I granted that that was true, then there's still a huge swath of women who will make the claim that they were SA'd by men, but not give any particulars. So there's no way for us to make a determined verification that it's so.
Is there?
So I'm not sure that that stat would even be valid.
Where are you coming up with your stat of all these women who are alive? Like, what's the validity in
My
that?
stat
Just
of what?
you feel that way? Like, what?
Do you want me to repeat what I just said?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so what I said is I'm not sure that we can say that this stat could ever be completely true that you just reference about SA either direction. And the reason is because by your logic, there's tons and tons of women, right, who are SA'd, but they don't come forward with the fact that they were SA'd, right?
Sexual
So if that is
assault
true,
Sure,
then
but that's
logically
not
would
really
not
what
the
I-
same be true for men? I guess that's my question.
That guy Slingshot donated $199. And to go further on what Andrew said, those who wait 10 or 15 years to say something about SA, which usually is with a celebrity, I think is nothing more than a money grab in most cases.
In
I
those,
agree.
In those
Could be
cases, I think
regret.
it is more likely for false allegations to come. But just because a woman doesn't report an assault doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I
Sure.
think that's a very dangerous mindset to have, to
I
automatically
think it's
not
the least
agree a
dangerous
woman
mindset to have.
just because there wasn't a police report filed. And by the way, there's different types of sexual assault that isn't our wording. There's other things as well. So.
No, I agree. But then when we get into the particulars of those things, what we
So-
find out is that men often will disregard what women will consider to be SA, even though the same exact thing is happening to them in reverse by women. That's point one. Point two is that if it's not reported, then how can we count it as being true? We just basically have to take people's words for it. There's no real reason that we should do that absent evidence. That would be the opposite of how we should conduct any type of study into the SA phenomenon.
You're not referring to children, are you? Just women?
Yeah, I'm talking about women here
Okay.
who are adults. So when we're talking about adult women, this is just my cardinal rule that I have, is that tons and tons of women who I've talked to have these SA stories, but however, when pressed for particulars, suddenly the story completely falls apart. Most notably, the fact that they won't name the men who supposedly did this to them. Interestingly enough, I think that the logical reason that I came to for why they do not, is because if they named that man, you'd find out that he was in Kentucky while she was in Wyoming and she was full of shit. That's my personal feeling on the thing.
Can I say one thing? So, I guess the biggest thing is that I don't have the numbers, and it would be hard to find proper numbers on this anyway. But a lot of now women were sexually assaulted when they were children. And that's when it took place. If we're talking about children.
We're not talking about
Yeah,
No,
but
I
even
think
in-
I think
Even
what
in-
children. The point
that's
that
child
so-
abuse. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
little different
so-
conversation.
So in this particular case, we can leave that to the side, right? I'm talking about women who are making the claims of being SA as adults. We're being hyper specific here. We're not talking about the cases of children, though I'd be happy to get into it. We're not going to because it's YouTube and it's TOS. I'm talking specifically about adult women. So this is from my perspective. If I look at this logically, if somebody makes an accusation, says such thing happened to me, but there's no evidence for it, that would be, a secularist would never, for instance, accept that from a Christian saying, oh, God talked to me, but I can't prove it, and I can't demonstrate it, and I can't show it. So why is it in the world should we accept the counter from women that they make these bold claims that this and that happened to them, absent any evidence that it did?
I'm probably going to get a lot of woman hate from this, but I actually agree with Andrew 100%, at least 95%, because I personally do know a lot of women who have made these claims just because they regret it afterwards. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's almost become like this fucked up trend, just like people think it's cool now to have like some type of mental disorder where it's like, oh, like I'm a victim, like it's cool to be a victim, and
Well put.
that pisses me off. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
It pisses me
Well,
off.
it should. And the truth is that if you follow behavior in voting by women and you follow trends in buying by women, you'll note that peer pressure, even towards things which are not considered to be great, if it brings women attention, they will follow trends which are not even good for them to follow.
Agreed.
This now, men do this too. I'm not being biased here than saying it's only women. I'm just saying that women are more prone to that. That's why propaganda works so well on them. That's how they were able to get an entire generation of women to begin smoking, was because they were so susceptible to that propaganda. So I would actually have to agree with you as well that as I look at this, it's hard for me to believe that that the kind of rampant stats on what is considered SA are anything short of lies, essentially, absent proof.
And Andrew, I'm sure you could agree with me on this. I think we both think here that SA is an absolutely terrible thing, awful thing.
Awful thing. Put them against the wall,
And,
as they say.
Yeah. I do think, though, that there is a...
But that's why the burden of proof should be so high. The burden of proof should be so high because the punishment should be so overwhelming. So the punishment for something like this should be overwhelming towards a man who conducts this. And that's why we should be very careful about the particulars of how justice is served up here, and we should have evidence for this so that we can definitely put these people where they belong, which is in prison for life.
Yeah.
And they have done, I mean, they have looked at an analysis, I mean, comparing this to other crimes, and what they found to be provably false, where the woman either recanted the story and there was proof that he was somewhere else, or she I think I already said she recanted it, or she proved that she was lying. In comparison to other kinds of crime reports, the rate I think is 2x or even 3x the rate of like false accusations of other kinds of crimes. And then I specifically actually want to point out something that happens to minority men at even further disproportionate rates. I don't know if you know the case of Emmett Till, the boy who was falsely accused by a white woman back in the, I believe it was in the 50s or and they lynched him.
Okay, wait.
Wait.
Okay, well, I'll just be quiet there.
Oh.
We're not exactly sure that it was. I've heard it conflicted as to.
Didn't
Well,
that woman
my
admit
understanding
to
on her,
There's no proof, though,
my understanding
and
on
no
her
police report, so
deathbed,
it's-
this woman on her deathbed, the woman who accused it, recanted and said that she made it up. At least that's the research that I did.
I remember reading
well,
that
maybe.
too. Yeah.
Well, I could be wrong there. I don't want to throw shade at anybody unless I know for sure that it's true. So.
If my research serves me correct, I do believe that she later in her life, she said, I either embellished, I exaggerated, or I just made the whole thing up. But what happened to Emmett Till, this young black boy, he apparently flirted, said something, lascivious to a white woman, and her family or friends, whatever, I don't know the exact details, lynched him, killed him. And so false accusations happen all the time, and they actually specifically tend to negatively.
She was jealous of someone else.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, he had.
But this
something
actually
she wanted.
happens at higher rates too. Typically, when you see white woman, black man, it happens at a much higher frequency. It happened to Patrice O'Neill, rest in peace. Happens to frequently black men because there's an added level, at least for some of these white women, who, for example, have consensual sex with them, and then they regret it for there's perhaps racist reasons for it, but there's a component of regret here. They regret it. Like if you hook up with somebody consensually and you later regret it, that's not SA.
No, it's not.
But
Well,
but you can.
We can also see this same trend happen with the lies of paternity, which is far more prevalent than previously was understood with DNA testing. So now we know that the amount of paternity fraud is, in some cases it's been estimated as high as 20%. I think that might be a wildly high estimate, to be honest with you. And I think that the evidence for that is somewhat scant. But it's definitely more prevalent than we thought it was. There's no doubt that that's true. We're not saying that SA against women may not be prevalent from men. It probably is. We're just disputing as to whether or not the justification for why you should not be around men based on these kind of wildly inflated numbers is justified. That's the point we're making.
What if we talk about biology and the fact that men are a lot stronger than women? And so I would, let's say, like if I had to choose, obviously, to fight a woman or a man, I'm going to choose the woman because I wouldn't be able to protect myself against a man that wanted to harm me.
Yeah, sure. But nobody would dispute that. This is why the question was about a bear or a man. Bear's
Well, it's
obviously
just a factor that
much,
plays into
but
it.
a bear is obviously much stronger than a man, right?
I said I would
much
rather
stronger.
be a man, but
Yeah, but we weren't making the comparison as to whether or not men are stronger than women. Obviously, that's true. Generally speaking, that's true. Even weaker men are stronger than even strong women in many cases. So, we wouldn't dispute this, but that would not lead to the conclusion that means that the prevalence of SA as advertised is as high as it's advertised.
I don't know. Back to the bear thing, though. I feel like
I don't want anything to do with that.
if women were truly this scared of men, as they love to pretend they are, like there wouldn't be such rampant casual sex occurring. They wouldn't be getting drunk around men, partying, being alone with men. having male friends, all this stuff. So I don't know. It seems like logic would dictate that a man would be safer than bear, but
It's sad to say, but honestly, like you're far more likely to be, assaulted by someone you know than someone you don't know, like a strange man.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It's like, would you?
Yeah, I agree that the predatory behavior in that regard works both ways. For instance, I have the data
somebody-
here as well when you're talking about, for instance, women who are in positions of authority over men, which would include minors inside of prison, where there's female prison guards, the SA skyrockets in comparison to the other way. The same thing happens when you're talking about teachers, for instance. Even when you're talking about clergy, while it's true that more men conduct these things, as a percentage of how many are in these positions, women conduct them against men far more, which is interesting. So I'm not so willing to just say that this is a problem which comes from men and only men.
I'm not saying it is. Why do you think it is that it's more prevalent for women, or like let's say teachers, to prey on male students? I'm just wondering. Like,
This is an interesting question.
Close to child abuse.
I'm not so sure that anybody knows exactly why, but I think it's due to the fact of basically being able to manipulate and gain attention. But it's hard to say. This is a phenomenon which may have been going on for a long time, just kind of unrecognized because, again, when we're talking about SA, this is one of my points when I say that men often will disregard things that women would consider SA. There's a lot, and this is the truth. Nobody's going to like to hear this, but there are young men probably who are 16, 17 years old who bang their teacher and aren't upset about it, right? I mean, that's probably just true.
That's grooming, though. That's not okay for those men. That's not.
Okay.
They were 100% groomed.
No, I'm not disputing
assaulted.
that. I'm not disputing that it is. I'm saying that the way that it would be perceived by a male versus how it's perceived by women are different. And that's why I'm saying that we can't hold the dualistic standard when it comes to this.
I agree with you.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't disagree with you. It's absolutely SA. I mean, and they're underage, everything else. It's horrible.
Is it because
I'm just
society
saying that
tells
there's
them that
a
it's cool?
distinction.
I got to move it on.